What's up, everybody? It's a Hardy Construction. You can find a Hardy Construction on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Tumblr. With your host, Komp, and
Shriveled Grapes, otherwise known as Raisins.
it's like a rap name. You just had so many names at all. It's like a Wu-Tang member. Today's film
Yeah.
is
X-Cross, or XX, or XXX Cross, I suppose, 2007.
XX, also known as X-Cross, also known as Ekusuru Kurosuru Makyo Densetsu. Directed by Kenta Fukasaku, who's the son of the original director of, I believe he's the son of the director of Battle Royale, and he directed...
Well, he wrote Battle Royale.
And, yeah, I believe he wrote the screenplay for the Battle Royale, but I think he directed Battle Royale 2, which I heard is not as good as the first one. We should talk about Battle Royale one day. Anyway, starring, it was written by Nobuyuki Joko, who did the novel, and Tetsuya Oishi. This is why I'm confused, because I believe X-Cross might have been a light novel, which is a Japanese sort of equivalent of novellas.
A graphic novel or something?
No, a light novel is sort of a novella, but they usually sell them on the phone. So they actually have a really booming business of selling novels on cell phones. And it was also, I believe, adapted as a manga. And that artist's name, what was his name? Oh, the hell with that guy. That was a comic as well. I was actually looking for that comic everywhere, but I don't think it's one of those that are translated for anybody, even like manga scans and stuff. But I saw some of the images of the comic, and I believe that the character Reika, who we'll get into, does not exist in the book or the comic. So
Really?
Yeah, I know it's weird because it's such an.
But that's like a key villain of the movie.
It's actually such an interesting thing. This is what I think about this film. Okay, so let's go with what it says on IMDb. Recovering from a failed love affair.
Even in the poster.
Recovering from a failed love affair, Shiori and her best friend Aiko head to the country, but they soon discover that the tranquil village is the home of a cult with a fetish for cutting off legs. And it's actually...
It's not really a fetish.
Yeah, I know. Whoever wrote this on IMDb is full of crap. Anyway, so my history with this film is that I actually saw it. I think it was obviously it must have been in 2008 or something, or maybe 2007. I went to the New York Japanese Film Festival. Look
at you.
They used to have...
So cultured.
They used to have it on West 4th Street in Manhattan. And they would just play a couple of...
IFC?
Yes. No, was it IFC? Could be IFC. I think so. And it was a bunch of Japanese films that they played all week. Like, they would play, like, 5 Japanese films a day. Like, really rare movies that they subtitled and they brought on screen. Sometimes they would actually bring some of the directors. So
not all horror, just, like, everything, right?
No, there were a couple, but it was mostly genre and kind of cult Japanese films, really off-the-wall type of Japanese films. That it was sort of more of aimed towards Midnight Madness kind of crowd. So, actually, within that week, I saw Tokyo Gore Police and this film. And There is nothing like watching these types of films in theaters with people that appreciate this type of bizarre sort of genre cinema. And having seen this film, I was like, okay, it's all right. It's a film that obviously it's not that high of a budget, but I was really impressed at the mixing of genres with this movie. Can you explain what the genres are in this film?
It's kind of like a cult film, like sort of a slasher cult film. I guess slasher cult film, like friend reconciliation movie.
Yeah, I don't think friend reconciliation is what I just meant. Slasher and cult film, but sure, if you want to put a friend, I didn't know that was an actual like genre. Friend.
Well, no, that's kind of like a thing, like the making up with the friends.
I guess so. And I guess you could see that in any romantic comedy.
It kind of reminded me of Scooby-Doo.
I could see that. But I was really impressed by that mixture of genres, because it seems like it's such an obvious genre, but the fact that it's sort of two storylines split and then they converge to a really sort of amazing finale that I actually, when I saw in the theater, because I was like, in my head, I was like, how are these two stories going to converge? Like, are they just going to get rid of one character and then just deal with this bigger threat at the end? And then when that scene that we'll get to at the end happened, I literally was like, yes. I was in the theater because that's what I wanted to happen, and it played out exactly as I wanted it to happen. But we'll get to that.
Good.
So the main character, It's actually two characters. There's Shiori and her best friend Aiko. Aiko is short hair.
Kind of
And
jumping
Shiori,
back and forth between them, which is fun.
yeah, Shiori has the long black hair. Aiko has the short reddish type of hair. Shiori is a good girl, right? I guess she's. We don't really learn much about these characters. We learn more about Aiko than we do Shiori, even though we're supposed
Apparently,
to.
Aiko is a big pop star, a J-pop
Oh, is
star.
she? Yeah, she looks like it. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
But she was like banned from the industry.
Was she?
According to what I read.
Poor girl. But Aiko Ami Suzuki. I wonder. I don't know. Anyway, so these two girls, they're best friends. How would you describe Shiori?
She is in a sad breakup with her boyfriend who cheated on her. So she's gonna go to this secluded, horrifying village with her
Called
best friend.
Ashikari. Ashikari is the isolated town.
Yes, Ashikari with her friend, and she's all sad and alone. She should have listened to the Frank Zappa song "Broken Hearts Are for Assholes" and saved herself a lot of trouble.
That's a good title. I gotta use that. I gotta listen to that actually. Aiko,
It's a good song.
and Aiko is her so and so best friend, who is a player. How would you say? What would you call it for a woman? A player.
She's a whore.
No shaming, please. No. Oh, you didn't slut shame. You just called her a whore. That's different. Never mind.
I didn't say it's good or bad.
Hey, if there was no whores, I wouldn't get laid. Get it? No, I don't get
And
it. I think I'm in trouble.
for a guy, it'd be a man whore. It's the same
Yes,
thing.
that's true. They need to fix that phrasing, man whore. There's
There's
just
no
something unkempt
there's no
about it.
discrimination. They're both whores.
That's true. Whores are good. I like whores. So, I like to go in the country and ride.
I like horses.
That's the joke I was trying to do, but you just
Oh,
totally cut me off.
okay.
So anyway, so they're both in this little sort of backwoods inn. It doesn't look backwoods. It just looks like it's really country type of area.
If you I think the same thing I thought with every horror movie I've ever seen. If you go to this village and you're greeted by that scary woman hunched over,
I think that was a man. That's an old man, I believe.
whatever it was, wouldn't you just leave? I would leave.
Maybe her need to be in a new location trumped her fear and her need to get over.
There's plenty of other locations. There's the whole world.
Well, we're led to believe that Aiko brought Shiori there to sort of get over this terrible disaster of her first real relationship. I will say this is a movie that has probably one of the shittiest friendships I've ever seen in a movie. And it's all on one side that's being really shitty. Shiori is sort of a blank slate. She's not really a deep character. You're supposed to feel bad for her. She's almost like if a person was playing a video game and you're playing.
I like her.
No, I like her too, but she's not necessarily deep of a character. She just got hurt.
You're gonna say
and
she's an
that's it.
avatar in a video
Yeah,
game?
that's what she is. She's essentially if you dropped into Resident Evil and you're running around and you don't want people to kill.
She's deep.
Okay.
She has emotions. She's hurt. She's going through a tough time.
She's sad and fearful and angry, so I guess she does
and
have at least more
she
than
can't
one
trust
emotion.
anybody.
That's true.
She's got her friend betrays her.
So
her boyfriend and this guy on the phone
might betray her. But so at the beginning of the film, we see it's a movie that jumps between times, which is nice. I think that whole gag of rewinding the film probably could have just done it once. They
should have done Wayne's World style.
Oh, it just like zooms in and out or something and twirls in a circle.
Where they go, and then you see everything get like blurry.
So the film, this is a film that relies a lot on a cell phone. Does anybody call the cops? No, the only person that calls the cops is out of time, is not even in the area. So it makes me wonder why Shiori did not call the police about 50 times in this film. She could have. I mean, she was calling everybody else. So that right there shows you why a lot of cell phones are gotten rid of in films. But these two characters literally have their phones by their sides for the whole film, and they don't call the cops.
With unlimited battery,
yes.
too.
And you think it's one of those films where their phones won't work in like certain areas, but like 75% of the time, their phones actually do work. So
75%, 100%. There's no moment where it doesn't work.
They can literally call their parents. They can call families.
They can call anybody.
They can call cops, but they're busy
calling. Cops, she calls her friend.
They're busy talking to mysterious teachers at colleges in other places, or they're talking to other friends. That doesn't make any sense because there's a lot of people.
You know what's funny? You know what's really funny? That guy's sister died. He found this out. That was the first thing we find
Mononobe,
out
who's the
about him.
faceless guy that calls her throughout the film, right?
Yeah. His sister dies. Like, it's never mentioned again. He's not sad. He's fine. He's smiling at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
He's like,
So,
she's like, "Hey, are you single? I'm totally available." But that's one thing I didn't understand at the end because I was like, that's kind of shitty. Like, Mononobe, there's a big joke at the end that they're like, "Oh, he must be like really handsome because he's talking like he has this sexy voice or something." He turns around and I guess he's an ugly guy, or it's comedic. I was trying to look up the guy.
no, he was good looking.
I thought he was normal looking, but they started laughing like if he wasn't.
I think they were
attractive.
giggling like, like the way girls giggle when they like somebody.
No,
like
I
it was supposed
totally
to be, like,
took
their
it that
kids or
I
something.
totally
don't know.
this is I had to like build some case in my head. I totally think because he wasn't attractive that they were sort of laughing, and I think that guy.
I thought he was supposed to be attractive.
No, because you look at her boyfriend that was in the movie, like he sort of had more defined features, and this guy sort of looked like an everyman. I think that's what
I
it
don't know. I thought
was.
this guy was good looking.
So
His
I was
hair
trying-
was all nicely slick.
I was trying to look up the actor, like maybe he was a comedian or something, because there had to be a reason why his face was in silhouette the whole time. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was something to that
Yeah.
because this has happened to me before. Here's a story. Here's a story where I'm called or thought of as an ugly person. This is.
But they weren't thinking of him as ugly.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm just putting my shitty
You're
experiences.
projecting.
So I remember helping. I was on a train station, right, and the train was like. Here you can hear my crippling inadequacies as a man in this episode. I was
Yeah,
at the train,
let's hear it.
and there was like a
Let's hear
huge
it.
fight happening on the train, and this like girl runs out, and she's like freaking out. So I like grab her by the arm, and I bring her to the front car, so she stop freaking out. She's, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And so then, I know this sounds crazy. I know it really does sound crazy. But she calls her friend, and she goes, "Yeah, this guy helped me." I overhear this conversation. I'm busy like somewhere else. I can hear the conversation.
Uh-huh.
And I know the question right after she answers this, or she tells this girl this, is he good looking? And then I know, she says, "It's okay." And I knew that was the case, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I felt like a doofus. Like, I understand, hey, like, I'll take that as a compliment, but I was like so crippling. I was like, what the hell is this? She's like, lie or something, whatever. Anyway, there you go. Hey, everybody,
Yeah, right.
I'm depressed. So,
His penis just shrank into his body.
yes, it actually came out of my ears. So
Yeah.
these characters in X-Cross, it's split into two narratives. Shiori is dealing with a cult, which actually gets into the cult stuff fairly early. It gets it within 10 minutes of the movie, I believe. Like, she finds a cell phone and she starts talking to Mononoke, or Mononobe. Mononoke's not the same movie. That's Princess Mononoke. She's talking to Mononobe.
Different movie.
She's talking to Mononobe, who's this faceless guy who's telling her, get out of this this area because you're gonna get your legs chopped off. Trust me. Hey, you think if we showed this to Tarantino, he would just love this movie?
He'd probably be all for it.
I know
He'd be
he's
like, you don't have to go that high up though. Start like at the shin.
I know he's a foot guy, but there is a scene where the ex-boyfriend's licking her feet, and I know he would absolutely love this movie. He would just like...
There's also a pedicure scene.
There is. There really is like foot stuff in this movie. It's funny, but I don't believe the directors are as depraved as Tarantino is.
This is probably one of his favorite movies. He probably screens it as personal movie theater and just like whacks off like Pee Wee Herman stuff.
So that one, there's Shiori dealing with the cult. I love that old man that's like, oh, he's talking to her about making sure she washes
Cleaning
her
her
legs,
leg.
but I love. He gives her the food, which is like fucking cut up frogs and stuff like that.
This is a really silly, dumb movie.
And then-
I like it.
But
though.
I love his laugh. He goes, like it's like totally Japanese animation, kind of old creepy man laugh in a cartoon. It's so fucking great. The movie looks like cheap, but not in a bad way. But it looks like this film is not like.
It reminded me of that one you actually compared it to like a lot, where those guys end up in a different dimension fighting a big monster.
Oh, Zeram, but I think Zeram had better production qualities. But Zeram obviously had good art production crew. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it had to look that. This, like the camera stuff here, it looks like TV movie level. At least Zeram looks B movie level, where it actually looks like film. This looks like television.
Also, they do stuff that makes no sense in this. Like why are all of the people in the village like hobbling? Well, I
Well, they
guess they have
explained
messed
that.
up
They actually,
legs.
which I
Yeah,
like.
but I mean
They give a
they're
little.
crawling around like zombies.
So let's get into the.
And then they see flashes on a camera, and it's like as if vampires were struck with
Yeah,
holy
that was a
water.
little bizarre. I
Like,
thought maybe I don't know why Aiko thought that showing technology would freak these people out because I mean she apparently had never seen these people. She had no idea who they were and just ran into the village with the flash of the camera.
well, what's her face warned her, the other friend. I can't
Oh, it
think of
could
her
be
name.
that. Yeah, I don't know her name either. But she was threatening, I guess, to expose them unless they released Shiori,
But
which
I
is
mean, the boyfriend knew all about the other world because that's how he dated
right, exactly.
Shiori.
So I think the town is apparently so backwards. Like, cause what I did like they give that little the little scroll with the art on it, where it used to be a town of loggers, and the way to keep their women from running away is they would chop their legs off and keep them.
I mean, honestly, I would do that too. But why
Jesus
do you got to chop off
Christ.
the whole leg?
Anyway, so they would do that, but then the men would hobble themselves. And they did this so no like terrible like outcome would happen to the town. So that's their sort of background information, and I like that it gave these men a hobbled sort of zombie, what is that called, like a weakness.
Yeah, but they're like moaning like zombies too. They're like, oh.
But I think that's just because they're being over the top. It's just it's an over the top wacky movie. So
yeah, it's
I
just
do like
like
that.
what's happening? This is so weird.
So the other half of the film is Aiko, and she is dealing with Reiko, who is a woman in Lolita clothing. Lolita is a clothing style where grown women dress up in these sort of, well, and also men as well, dress up in these baby doll sort of 18th.
She looks like Princess Peach.
They're sort of 18th century, or was it 16th century? I'm bad with centuries. Some sort of century clothing, like English
Oh,
clothing, like baby doll dresses, the type you would see on porcelain dolls and stuff like that. And they actually, and I listen.
I think you're thinking of Victorian era.
Could be that, and they're really fucking impressive. Like, have you ever actually looked at stuff like that from Japanese sort of Lolita dressing? It's actually very impressive because a lot of the women literally look like dolls in Japan. So it's pretty cool that they kind of.
No, I think it's really cool actually.
So this Reiko, how would you describe Reiko? I love that character, Reiko. It's so fucking
She's
funny.
very funny.
Because
she's the first thing we see actually.
yeah, she
in
walks.
the tunnel.
They're driving through this tunnel, and then she's walking to cross the tunnel. She is so lucky that they are aware that they're driving because I know she did it to look cool or whatever, but that her first line is she goes snip snip snip, like she's with her fingers like snipping like scissors, and then she says, have you ever seen the true face of hell? And I was like, oh, that's such a cool line. And I was glad that because I remember
What happened to her eye?
I don't know, a lot of Japanese people do that if they have pink eye and stuff like that. It might be something different for her. It's sort of like when Japanese actually a lot of Asian countries they actually believe in not bothering other people, so if they have a cold they will wear a face mask. But unlike in
Unlike
America,
here where they just cough.
they'll
on
literally
you.
cough on you on purpose.
The other day, I was at work and some woman just kept fucking
Yes, you told
coughing
me
and
about
sneezing on me like all night, and I just like I couldn't do anything about it. Like I just wanted to kill her.
So yeah, Reiko apparently has a problem with Aiko because Aiko had dated one of her boyfriends, her ex-boyfriend, and then she got jealous.
Stole him.
Killed him and is coming to get her. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic that one's a slasher film and the other's a cult film, and the movie jumps back and forth trying to show these two women trying to get out of their predicaments. Obviously, Shiori.
Honestly, I would never leave Reiko for Aiko.
Oh, you like Reiko with her little dress? Maybe that's why the boyfriend left her. Maybe she was just a little, too nutty for him.
She's a little, yeah. She seems like she'd be a little needy.
Yeah, it's true. And Reiko, she's just like a sort of stock villain, sort of like a James Bond sort of henchman type of bad guy.
Ooh, she's fun.
She's fun.
She's
No,
like
she's great.
she's indestructible. She's like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, pretty much. And
me.
when Shiori is, she actually does get caught by the group. She literally ends up finding out that Aiko is like a real shitty friend. It's a little convoluted because apparently the boyfriend, who I can't think of the name of the boyfriend, he's obviously in on it. He fixed his leg to find, I guess, the woman of his dreams to bring him back to this town so he can worship her forever as a goddess. He was set up by her friend, by
Did he want to worship her or kill her?
both. No, they cut off the woman's legs, but they worshipped them by keeping them up there. That's what they say in the beginning of the film. They worship these women as goddesses after they kill them.
I see.
So that's why they keep them like what is that?
Until they turn into mummies and scarecrows. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of scarecrows. And
Okay.
anyway, he was apparently at his job because his whole deal was to take her back to this village. But while he was at his job, I guess a woman that liked him wanted to make his girlfriend, which is Shiori, jealous by having a girl at the job make out with him, which is incredibly convoluted, and I don't understand how that works. Because maybe she knew that this girl was coming. Why Aiko did that anyway is just she's just a really horrible friend, I assume.
Yeah, but we got the weird version of it, which was probably a lie. The truth is, Aiko just kissed him and got caught.
Yeah, and Aiko was wearing a giant wig for something, and then apparently she was compelled by the boyfriend who was going to blackmail her unless he said, hey, I want to get back with my girlfriend, so you got to fix this. Why she would do that anyway? Why Aiko did this? Maybe Aiko was jealous that Shiori was actually in a good relationship.
Do you think the manga explains better?
I have no clue what's going on. Maybe.
Wait, but
I would hope
saying,
so.
are you sure in the manga that Raiko isn't even in it? Because she's
Here's what
half the movie.
I found it's part of Production IG, which is an animation company. So I guess they have sort of comic books as well. So this was based on a novel. And I actually looked at, they had chapter previews of it, and I think it's like 24 chapters of the light novel, which has art for the book. You know what I mean? Like, so it had a bunch of images. I wish I'd saved the link. I'll send it to you. But I looked through each of them, and not one of them had an image of this girl in it. There were like 3 pages from each book. You know what I mean? So
I'm trying to find out the name of the actress that plays Raiko, but it doesn't even have any of them listed. It only mentions.
It had
2
all. Yeah,
people
this is
on
a really
IMDb.
obscure film. It had a lot of villager people in the imagery. Stuff like that. And
I love the Village People.
And it certainly had.
had.
It certainly had. Remember, I got in trouble for putting a Village People song on your page, but we won't get into that. It also had like villagers, and it had Aiko. It had Shiori, but I didn't see Reiko or anything that like could look like Reiko. I saw another crazy woman, but she wasn't like Lolita. So I think.
Right.
I think the directors probably took artistic license, sort of with how they did with the bad guy from Ichi the Killer. Because in Ichi the Killer, in the original comic book, the bad guy from, the guy with the split mouth, like, he had that. He had a split look on his face, but he wasn't as flamboyant looking. So I guess for film, they wanted to make something a little bit more iconic looking, which worked for me, because I thought Ray was
think that
great.
she looks awesome. I love her.
Yeah. So at the end, essentially what they're doing is they're trying to run away from their problems, and Aiko has some little action moves where she fucks up Reiko with, like, first with cleaning agents that she mixes together, which turns into, I guess, acid or something.
She's using mustard gas or something.
And then also, she sets her on fire, which makes her blow up as she comes back. And this all converges, and probably one of the greatest converges I've ever seen in a film, where storylines converge at the end, where they're about to kill Shiori, but Aiko stops it by threatening to expose the village to the outside world. And at that very moment, when they're about to get overrun by these men, these crazy maniacs, look who shows up is Reiko with her giant scissors. It was so funny because she was running around in the beginning of this film with like regular-sized large scissors. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute, I could have sworn, because I had seen this obviously like 10 years ago. I was like, she had to have giant comical scissors. I know she did. And then she actually does have comical scissors.
Well, even the regular scissors are fucking huge.
Yeah. And there's like a giant chainsaw scissor fight, which is just comical, but it's amazing. And because there's also this video game called Clock Tower that came out in Japan. It's like one of those, it's sort of, it was a predecessor to Resident Evil in a way. It was like survival horror, Japanese video games. And you're running around, you're playing a schoolgirl or some type of young woman that's running around in this building while this guy with a giant, or a woman with a giant pair of scissors, or maybe a man with a giant pair of scissors is chasing after you. So maybe that's probably where they got the idea from.
So it's like every day of my life.
Giant scissors.
I'm usually the villain, but...
And then Reiko just comes in and she starts laying waste to a lot of the villagers. So I love that when 2 villains that have absolutely nothing to do with each other just start, try to destroy each other while the main characters are given a chance to get the fuck out.
How did Reiko... This is the question I have. How did Reiko know to go there?
Well, I mean, she was chasing her, and she probably heard a bunch of fucking ruckus. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no, no, no. But I'm saying Reiko was like waiting on the other side of the tunnel in the beginning of the movie. How did she know that they were going there to find her there?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions. There's also I have a question on why the fuck is Aiko's phone? Why is that light? You know, why does it have a shimmering effect on it? I don't know what the reason for that is.
All the phones in this movie have like shimmering.
Do they? I
effects.
thought it
When
was
they
only.
throw the white.
I thought it was only
Yeah,
really
the white
Aiko's phone.
phone is like glowing white.
Does it? Okay.
It's like a rectangle of like luminescence.
Maybe
or
this was just a
something.
giant commercial for cell phones because I had no clue why
Maybe.
why Aiko's cell phone had this green
Maybe
vibrant light that
Japanese
popped out of
brand
it.
cell phones are illuminated.
No, like if you think U.S. has problems with phones, Japanese they don't even look at each other. That's literally what they do. Like they have. I remember seeing something
No,
where
that's the way it is here.
with but like you'll see like couples, like Japanese couples on a date, or even Chinese couples, they'll text complete conversations to other people while they're on a date with somebody. It's very
Oh god.
yeah, I know. I haven't been
Yo,
on a
that's
date
like
that
my worst
yet.
nightmare.
Yeah.
I get mad at like I'll call people out. Like stop fucking playing with your phone while you're hanging out with me. I can't stand it.
And the fact is, Danny's doing that to people that he's not even on a date with. He's just like randomly sitting and says that to somebody at a McDonald's.
When I'm no, but like when I'm sitting with somebody, I'd rather sit in complete silence with somebody than have to watch them text someone else. It's so obnoxious.
You know, what did you think about the culmination of the storylines? Did you like that, or because it doesn't seem like
I
there's
did. I mean, it's really silly. Like as long as you view it as a comedy, it's fine.
yeah, it
If you
is.
try to like take it seriously, it's like absurd, you know. Like, but it's fun. I like
And
it.
I do like that Reiko actually still survives to attack them once again on top of their escaping van. I did
Yeah,
like
that
it.
was
It's
good.
not a very complex storyline. One is a woman trying to avoid a cult, and the other one is trying to avoid a psychopath. And then the stories essentially converge. It's popcorn fun. It was great seeing it in theater. And when I was watching it I was watching it actually on the gym. At the gym, I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty good. It's still fun." And then, like, when that last shot happened again, when that wall from the giant, area that they're trying to kill Shiori is falls down, and then you just see a close up of Reiko's eyes all burnt up. I was like, "Yes!" Like, it obviously it jumped up one more point just because I love that scene so much.
Wait, what's that movie we did recently about this girl who kidnaps a guy and like ties him up, and the dad and her are like torturing
The
him?
Loved
and shit?
Ones, the Australian.
Yeah,
film.
Reiko. Like I kept
Yes,
thinking
yes,
she'd
you're
be
right,
friends with the girl
Yeah,
from the
you're
Loved
right.
Ones.
Yeah, that's true. But they might end up liking the same guy, so that's not so nice. But I
Yeah,
really
that's true.
enjoyed
But
this.
who would win? Honestly, I think Reiko would win.
Yeah, Reiko would win. She's a lot more
She's got
athletic.
fucking giant swords like the size of my body.
Yeah, like she blew up. Like the car ran over that girl and stopped her. Like a car wouldn't stop Reiko, I don't believe. But yeah,
Yeah, no, car. She'd shrug it off.
I think Reiko's like pretty much an iconic enough character that I would like to see her in more like horror action. And I'm sure there's a lot of Lolita. There's a zombie Lolita movie where like a Lolita girl like fights zombies and shit like that. But I like that
Cool.
look. They should use that. I'm sure they utilize that enough for enough Japanese material. I like this movie a lot. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Saving two women and then being laughed at for being hideous in Japan.
I really don't think that's what they were doing.
I do think
I
that's
think
what it
that they were making a comment that he was good looking, and it was like, oh wow, you guys are gonna get together, he he, like that type of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on.
Couldn't you think of something?
7.5 out of 10. Going to a village to get away from your cheating ex-boyfriend, and you see a horrifying old man or woman, and you continue to go in there anyway, even though all of the alarms in your brain should be going off, and anybody with any sense of self-preservation would run for their lives.
So, with that, remember, people, find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. Look for the Hard Deconstruction, or just Hard Deconstruction. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Why not? With that, Danny. Danny, what's the final word?
If you hydrate a raisin, it becomes a grape.
construction.